Hi, can you hear me? Let's, I'm trying to see something new. Hey, are you connected?
Hey, huh?
Are you online or are you on Facebook?
Poco, I'm putting the stuff upstairs now. I'll go online later. Where you gonna be? YouTube or Facebook? YouTube, right?
I am on YouTube. I'm trying to see if I can do something. If I can connect myself on both of them at the same time.
So I'm putting the stuff upstairs now. But when you finish, don't you post them?
Yeah, I do post it when I'm done.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's the worst part. So this is
Hello, 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 hello. Well, I think I got it.
okay.
It's, it's supposed to be on both right now. All right, go do your thing.
Okay, when I'm done, I'll go on one.
All right, bye. Hi, hello, can you hear me today? The last time my tablet kind of messed up. This time I kind of go to my computer at home. I try to have both of the screens set on YouTube and on Facebook to see if that will work. Today I there's sad news for my birth country, Haiti. The earthquake has yet done its rampage. This morning on my way back home, I guess around 8 to 9, there was another earthquake. All right, so I will I will start. We're going to continue with the book of Genesis. We left in chapter 7, chapter 4, sorry, where we left off in the first murder that was committed by Cain against his brother Abel. Okay. I have my Bible up and I also have my own Bible. I can read on all of them. So let's jump back to Genesis 4 and continue. Now Adam had sexual relation with his wife Eve and she became pregnant. When she gave birth to Cain, she said, I have produced a male child with the help of Jehovah. Later, she again gave birth to his brother Abel. Abel became a shepherd of the flock, but Cain became a cultivator of the ground. After some time, Cain brought some fruits of the land as an offering to Jehovah. But Abel brought some firstling of his flock, including their fat. While Jehovah looked with favor on Abel on his offering, he did not look with any favor on Cain and on his offering. So Cain grew hot with anger and was dejected. Then Jehovah said to Cain, why are you so angry and dejected? If you turn to doing good, you will not be restored to favor. Will you not be restored to favor? But if you do not turn to doing good, sin is crouching at the door and its craving is to dominate you, but you will get the mastery over it. Anger is what got into Cain. God saw what was going on and said, "Hey, son, something is going on wrong right now. Let's try to go back on track." After that, Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let us go over into the field." So while they were in the field, Cain assaulted his brother Abel and killed him. First murder in the Bible. Later on, Jehovah said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" And he said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's guardian?" At this he said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground, and now you are cursed in banishment from the ground that has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you cultivate the ground, it will not give you back its produce. You will become a wanderer and a fugitive in the earth." At this Cain said to Jehovah, "The punishment for my error is too great to bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your face, and I will become a wanderer and a fugitive on the earth, and anyone who finds me will certainly kill me." So Jehovah said to him, "For that reason, anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times." So Jehovah set up a sign for Cain in order that no one finding him would strike him. Then Cain went away from before Jehovah and took up residence in the land of exile, to the east of the Eden. Afterward, Cain had sexual relations with his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Then he engaged in building a city and named the city after his son Enoch. Later, Irad was born to Enoch, and Irad became father of Mehujael, and Mehujael became father of Methuselah. Methuselah became father of Lamech. Lamech took 2 wives for him. The name of his the name of the first was Ada, and the name of the second was Zillah. Ada gave birth to Jebel. He was the founder of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jabal. He was the founder of all those who play the harp and the pipe. Also, Zillah gave birth to Tubal Cain, who forget every sort of tool. He forged every sort of tool, copper and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naham. Then Lamech composed these words for his wife, Ada and Zillah. "Hear my voice, you wives of Lamech. Give ear to my saying. A man I have killed for wounding me, yes, a young man for striking me. If 7 times Cain is to be avenged, then Lamech 77 times." From verse 4, the earth has been created. Now, were we already that much into sin that Cain was already such a sinner to commit such a ghostly into murder? We had just committed sin, and it was anger that get into him. I look into my own 2 kids as they grow. Um, they're always fighting. They're always, sometimes they fight with each other. Sometimes they provoke each other. So as I'm reading this, and as I asked, I also said to myself, while God, while they were presenting their gift before God, we know that they always present God's voice as an echo, a big force to our ears. So maybe Abel was joking around with Cain after God reprimanded him. Maybe he was mocking him, and God did see that, okay, if I reprimanded you, you probably would have done the same thing. Now you are angry, and God knows that anger can rise into deeper sin. God, just like a mother or father would do to their kids when they see that their children are going astray, God in verse 6 say, hey, you angry. Why? You did wrong in the first place. You did not bring good offering unto me, and now you are upset. If you have done the right thing to start with, then you would have been better. And because he did not do that, then he committed murder, killed his brother, and God punished him, sent him away from where he was. And from the east of the Eden, he met his wife. So um, there were other group of people that were already there. So he met a wife there and have children. So there's a lot of things that are also not explained. That's a blur. You know that there was like Adam and Eve, and he did Cain and Abel, and what were of this wife. But from east of the Eden, Cain met his wife, gave birth to Enoch, which later on in the Bible is one that give birth to Irad, and the population started to go even further. So let's go on to verse 25. Adam again had sexual relation with his wife, and she gave birth to a son. She named him Seth. So she had already had two kids, and Cain and Abel has already grown old enough because Abel died, and now, and Cain had already had wives and children who has children who has children, and then Adam and Eve again have another son who they named Seth, because as she said, God has appointed for me another offspring in place of Abel, because Cain killed him. There was also born to Seth a son, as he named him Enosh. And that time people began calling on the name of Jehovah. Then people start praying God. There was a lot of years that has already passed by because Cain already had many generations before Seth was born, and Seth then has a kid. This is the book of Adam history. In the day that God created Adam, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female, he created them. On the day they were created, he blessed them and named them men. Adam lived for 130 years and then became father to a son in his likeness, in his image, and he named him Seth. So in verse 25, they tell you that after Abel died, Cain got married. Cain already had three generations. And now in Genesis 5, they tells us exactly how many years Adam was since all these things had passed. than he has Seth. He was 130 years old, people, when he has his third son. After become father to Seth, Adam lived for 800 years, and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the days of Adam lived amounted to 930 years, and then he died. Now, this verse right there, Genesis 5 and 3, is also another proving part that God did not create us to die. After we committed the sin, He sent us away. And now He did say that, well, because you didn't listen, now you surely die. Because, well, the tree was the tree between life living life. And our greatest punishment, when we read in the first beginning of the Bible, was God does want to have mercy on us. God wants to continue to forgive us. However, the one thing that God doesn't want us to get is the tree of life. Since we did not listen, He said we surely die, and our punishment is death. So God is forgiving us 77 times 7 and more, even more. We surely have to know that we've been forgiven more than 70 times 7, for everything that we have been doing in this planet. We have surpasses our 70 times 7. But our greatest punishment is not being able to have eternal life without going through Jesus, without accepting that Jesus came from heaven, died for us, and without our faith to believe that Jesus was part of God and God has given us this mercy. This is how He wants us to redeem from our forefathers, Saint Adam and Eve. But before now, I've seen that many are like, oh, blah, 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 we starting to live longer. Well, Adam lived 930 years old. And with all these years that he had, after 800 years, he was still having children. He was vibrant man. Can you imagine somebody living 930 years old? Guess what? He was eating things from the earth. Because at the beginning of the Bible, God says, I give you the plants. Which part I did mark it. God says He gave us everything that is on the earth to eat, the greens. So the vegetation He gave us. So that was in Genesis 1. I have given all the green vegetation for food, and it was so. So they were eating well, people. They didn't have medicine, they didn't have things that were putting inside the food to give it more texture, to make you eat more. So they were eating things that was fresh from the earth, so their body were nourished properly. So that was Genesis 1 verse 29, when God gave us everything on the earth to eat. And well, yeah. So now we know that Adam lived 930 years, and throughout his 800 years, he was still having children, procreating the earth with his wife. Seth lived for 105 years, the third son of Adam and Eve, and then became father to Enosh. At 105 years old, he gave birth, well, him and his wife gave birth to a son. After becoming father to Enosh, Seth lived for 807 years after his 105, and he became father to sons and daughter. One that those were 807. So all the year that Seth amounted to 912 years, and then he died. Adam lived slightly longer. Enosh lived for 90 years and then became father to Canaan. So now the first son of Seth, the third son of of Adam and Eve. Um, the third son was Seth. Seth gave birth to Enosh. Enosh, now at 90 years old, become a father himself to Canaan. After becoming father to Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the days that Enosh announced were 905 years and then he died. So now, like, and the next one, Canaan lived 70 years. So great grandchildren of Adam and Eve. Canaan, grandson of Seth, lived 70 years, became father to Mahalalel. After becoming father to Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years, and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the years that Canaan amounted was to 910 years, and then he died. So they were living between 900 years old and higher. Mahalala lived 65 years old and then became father. So because they were living longer, so they started having children at, I mean, 65. People, that's a long time before they start having kids. That's a lot of years. After becoming father to Jared, Mahala lived 830 years. He lived 830 years and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel are to 895 years and then he died. Jared lived for 162 years and then became father of Enoch. After becoming father to Enoch, Jared lived for 800 years. Wow, that's already 962. And he became father to sons and daughters. So, yeah, he amounted 962 years and then he passed. And now, let's just see. According to this, Jared has outlived his great grandfather Adam. Adam has lived for a total of 930 years. Then he died. Jared lived 962. That's like 32 more years than that. Enoch lived 65 years and then became father to Methuselah. After becoming father to Methuselah, Enoch continued to walk with the true God for 300 years. Well, and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch amounted to 365 years. Enoch kept walking with the true God, then he was no more, for God took him. All right, here they say God took Enoch. He didn't die. Every other part says, and then he died. He lived 960, 60 something, 930, 800 and ding, bang, bang, bang. So Enoch, who was firstborn son of Jared, dang it, let's see, that's third son, second grandson, third, fourth, fifth, like sixth generation of Adam, fourth son. This Enoch, and we also know from Genesis 4 that also Cain on the other side, on the east side of Garden of Eden, also had sons named Enoch. This Enoch was the Enoch that did not die. It says Enoch kept walking with the true God, then he was no more, for God took him. We have heard many parts of the Bible where they tell us not all of us will die, and him he had kept in the way of God. And Enoch, the grandson of third son of Adam, lived, did not die on the earth. God took him alive. We have heard, I don't know if you have heard of it. I have heard of it before. So him, he did not die. And 365 years plus 65 years, he was after 365 years on the earth. God took Enoch with him in its glory. So his firstborn, Methuselah, lived for 187 years and then become father to Lamech. After becoming father to Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the days the Methuselah amounted 969 years and then he died. This one is even worse than any of them before. 969 years. He actually outlived his great grandfather Jared by 7 years. His great grandfather lived 962. He outlived Adam. Adam lived 930, and his father was no more on the earth, for God has took him alive. So that was one person that God, we didn't see anyone die. You see, after they put Methuselah, he said after he amounted 969 years, he died. But Enoch, they say God took him. There's a difference. Lamech lived for 182 years and then became father to a son. He named him Noah, saying, "This one will bring us comfort from our labor and from the painful toil of our land because of the ground that Jehovah has cursed." Well, yeah, we deserved it so much. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with Adam and Eve, really, seriously. After becoming father to Noah, Lamech lived for 595 years, and he became father to sons and daughters. So all the days that Lamech amounted was 777 years, and then he died. Once again, they do the addition, and then they say he died. So now Noah, this Noah will be the Noah that did the ark of Noah. After Noah reached 500 years of age, he became father to Sem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, when men started to grow in number on the surface of the ground, and daughters were born to them, the Son of the true God began to notice that the daughters of men were beautiful. So they began taking as wife all whom they chose. Then Jehovah said, "My spirit will not tolerate man indefinitely because he is only flesh." Accordingly, his days will amount to 120 years. Here goes the other punishment. The Son of the true God began to notice the daughter of men were beautiful. The Son of the true God. So they were already having children. They were already giving birth, meeting their wives, and having children. So who were the son of the true God? According to the lost book of Enoch, there were angels, fallen angels that came to the earth. Genesis 6, verse 2, the Son of the true God began to notice that the daughters of men were beautiful. Daughters of men, the grandchildren of Adam and Eve. They started taking upon human being for wives. Then Jehovah said, "My spirit will not tolerate man indefinitely because he is only flesh." According to this, he amounted us to live to 120 years. This was now, I guess, at that point, this 920 something years we were living, 969, Methuselah lived. There is the second punishment. First punishment, we get kicked out of Garden of Eden for eating the fruits that give us knowledge of good and bad. And God says, you are not coming back to Garden of Eden to eat the fruits of life so you can go back to eternal life. I created you at the beginning because I already know I'm the God, the Almighty, the Infinite. I know what good and bad is. I know I'm trying to create you so that you don't have to see the other part that I know. I wanted you to be perfect, but you get tempted. You decided that you think you can actually be better. You go, you eat what I told you not to eat, and now you're surely going to die. And I'm not going to allow you to go back to the first good thing that I wanted you to have. So, and then now the angels start having sex with the human being, and God knows that. He says, because man is only flesh, we are only flesh, so now we are then to live 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and afterward. During that time, the son of true God continued to have relation with the daughters of men, and these bore sons to them. They were the mighty ones of old time, the men of fame. The Nephilim. This Bible talk to us of the Nephilim were children born from human beings like us, from angels. Angels giving birth, giving children to their wives, the human wives. And because they were doing that, God says, okay, they're not going to live that long. We got punishment to live 120 years. And we have a brand new group of people that now started to live on earth, the Nephilim. They were sons and daughters of the true gods, the angels, the one that were there when God was created the earth, and sons and daughters of the human being. They were called the mighty one on this time, on the earth. Consequently, Jehovah saw that man's wickedness was great on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only bad at all time. I have this theory that as I watch us growing, it's my personal opinion, it may not be yours, that the problem is our heart. If our heart is dark, if we are wicked in the heart, then our mind, we won't be having great thoughts. We would think of doing the wrong thing first hand. So here in verse 5, God says it. God says, every inclination of thought of his heart was only bad at all the time. We are wicked on the earth because we have bad heart at all time. So although it's I thought of it, it turns out it was already written in the Bible. It was already said from God. I thought of it, that maybe I already read it because I've been reading. So this thing says it is our heart. So the first thing that we need to do is change our heart. So I'm going to read verse 6, and we're going to leave for next week. Jehovah regretted that he had made men on the earth, and his heart was saddened. So Jehovah said, I am going to wipe men whom I have created off the surface of the ground, men together with domestic animals, creeping animals, and flying creatures of the heaven. For I regret that I have made them, but no have found favor in the eyes of God. This is where I'm going to leave. If anybody wants to write a comment here, we have read a lot, and we have I think from here we also see how we started going down, and God was saddened. Now ask ourselves, aren't we still making God sad when we hear people killing each other? So now, and verses said, Noah found favor in the eyes of Jehovah. So it was Noah who goes and asks God for another chance for us. After he punished us to live 120 years only, he was going to destroy the earth because is the angels that were supposed to be here mount us and protect us and fight for us after the devil snake tempted us and we fell for it. God still have mercy on us, although he says we cannot have the tree of life so we can go back to everlasting life. That was the first and thing that he created us for. And now, because the angels started getting sexually active with the women, it takes there were guys that were not supposed to do that, and human beings were those human beings they were falling for it. They actually go ahead and do those kids, and they give birth to Nephilim. They said they were mighty ones of all time. The men of fame. They were in the book of Enoch, the book that's not included in the Bible, says they were giant. Some of them were bad. They were destroying the earth, and this thing was hurting God. After the first murder, I guess people started to live well. Cain committed his mistake. God sent him aside to the other side of the Eden, and he has his own life on the other side of him, has his own family. From he created his own generation, and now for him, um, we were going. His punishment was to live and nobody should touch him. If you touch him, then you're going to be cursed, and whatever that his misery would be 7 times more than yours. But God had mercy on him. And now we yet not listen, started having children with these angels and created those gigantic supreme being that becomes way the book of Enoch show you that they were way taller, and that's why they tell you here they were the mighty one. And that book, the hearts of God. So the Bible just say that. But the verse 5 that says, Consequently, Jehovah saw that man's wickedness was great on the earth, and that every inclination of thoughts of his heart was only bad at all time. That told you it wasn't just children that they were having with the angel that were huge. We started doing things that we were not supposed to be doing. And God knows that those things were coming from a dark place in our heart. We have lost our way. And he was so sad, so heartbroken, and I feel heartbroken right now. He wanted to destroy us at that point because he didn't want us to keep continuing into this destructive path. And the great grandson of Enoch, the true man of God that God take from this earth and body and soul and go to his home with Enoch, Noah pleaded with God before God eliminated the earth. So through this part, we learn that God created us to be like him. Since the beginning, God says, I created man to my image. He wants us to be like him. God is infinite. God had already known true good and true evil. And God saw what evil was and didn't want us to inherit any part of evil. So he created this earth and created us to his image and didn't want us to have anything to do with bad. He just didn't want us to see the wickedness there was and that would exist in this spot. So he didn't want us to have that. And he gave us everything in this earth so we can live like him and give us command over his creature. He had a partnership with the one that he created. This Bible tells us God created us and have a partnership with us. He wants us to take command over what he created. And then we did that. We started and created us, give Adam power over the earth, give Adam a wife. And we listened to the devil, to that Satan figure who said that don't listen to him. It's because he doesn't want you to see, to be as mighty as he is. That's why. But God has already told us that he created us to its image. All he didn't want is the wickedness to be part of us. And now that we eat from the flesh, from the fruit that opens our eyes, God says, now we have become like me. God says that in this thing. It says now that men have become like us. That's what he says after we ate the tree. Now that we know that wicked things can happen, we know about bad. We were not supposed to know about bad. We are just like God. God then says, because we know about God, then what do we know? We know one thing. We know we one thing. Once we do something that's bad, what do? We go back and we try to sneak in so we can get what we were not, what the first thing that we had before. God didn't want us to sneak because he had already give us a command. Don't eat the fruit. Just listen. Now we were going to try to sneak to see if we can steal the fruit of life, because then once the Nephilim started to come and giving destruction, what as us as human beings do you think we were going to do? We were going to go straight in the Garden of Eden trying to eat this fruit of life so we don't get to die. But God had already made sure that that garden is hidden from our face. I'm sure that there are people that are trying to look for it, but this God doesn't want us to have. God doesn't want us to have this eternal life anymore, and we become so wicked. His heart was saddened. God become very very sad and wanted to destroy us. And Noah prays and begged God not to destroy us. And this is where we are going to left off. So I am inviting all of us to look into our hearts. God says we have wicked heart at all time. So no matter how much he forgives us, no matter how much forgiveness we get, we still end up going back and doing those things that we're not supposed to be doing. We have had so many favors. Try to think of that with your loved ones, with your brothers, with your sisters, with your wife, anybody. Don't we tend to ask for forgiveness and not even try to give our best because we think that people owe us forgiveness? We think that even God owes us those things. He did not create us so that he can keep on forgive us over and over. He created us so we can be perfect, not even have to see the things that he had seen. So we have to think of that. Think of our heart and things that we are doing, things that we are contributing to what's going on. It starts into our little circle. It starts in ourselves, oneself. We have to. That's why one of the reason why I wanted to do this Bible study. And right there in the book of Genesis, he gives chapter 5, Genesis 6, verse 5 actually says exactly what I have had in my heart for so many times. That's it is our heart that is wicked. Our heart is full of darkness. That is why we continue to do those bad things. And that is why that God is sad. So since then, God has been sad, people. What are we doing to what are we doing to actually to make our father feels better? Us as human being, we have mothers and fathers. Don't we try our best to please our father? Then what are we doing to please our creator? God is sad. It's written right here at the beginning of Genesis that he was so broken that we broke his heart. He was so sad he was going to destroy us. Yet we were given another chance. So what are we doing with that other chance that we earn in the eyes of God? So I would say right now, for God says, wherever many are gathered into his name, he is with us. For a heart that is so dark, and for a lack of judgment, for a lack of love into our heart, including myself, I pray to you, O Almighty One, my Creator, my Protector, my Avenger, to please help us see into your light, accept your wisdom, so we can start where our fault is, which is our heart, right here. Then we can try to change. Amen. So I thank you all for coming. Thank you for taking part of this. Next Saturday, we are going to continue with from verse 8 as Noah begged for a last other chance. And together we can read and learn our story and learn why we're still here. And maybe we can try to see what we can do to please our Creator. Maybe God will be a little bit less sad. Ciao, everyone. Have a blessed day. Pray for each other. You will be all in my heart. Have a good day.